Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Alejandra Horvath, and I'm very happy that you are here with me. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching around the world. Thank you so much for being here. And let me move my screens a little bit over here. It has been a while since the last live stream. I think it was May 23rd or 27th, if I remember correctly. So it has been a while. So thank you so much for joining today. I'm bringing an example where I can show you the convenience of having your reports connected to one source of data. We're going to use Power Query, of course. And this is because in the last few weeks, I have met quite a bit of people who are not aware of Power Query, don't see the benefit of using it, and that made me think that we need more information, right? And probably we need to start from something more basic or more for a beginner level. So this class is going to be mostly beginner, intermediate level. So I hope you find it useful. Okay, but too much talk, and I just want to say hi to Raimundo. Thank you so much for being here. Good evening. Let me start sharing my screen. And sorry for the short notice, but I wasn't sure if I wasn't going to be able to make it, so I better just share the event when I know it's for sure I'm gonna be here. So just give me 1 second. Here I am sharing now. And here is Jose. Jose, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Good night. Thank you. I'm very happy that you are joining. All of you. Thank you so very much. Okay. So let me go back to my screen over here. So in the example that I'm showing you today, I have 3 different reports or 3 different files that are connected to the same source of data. Today, I'm going to show you how to prepare the query for only one of them. I'm going to try to keep this tutorial under 30 minutes. If I have learned something from the past is that long tutorials are not an idea. So let's try to do that. This is one of the reports that is connected to that source. This is just for statistics purposes. Let's say every year we need to provide information about the expenses and specifically for salaries and benefits for these categories, right? Materials and equipment, etc. I need to provide this information by province. I live in Canada, and let's say I have these 3 provinces where I have business with, and I need to provide that information for statistics purposes. So I have Alberta, BC, and Ontario. So simple pivot table. Let's go and see the next report. The next report, let's say this is for a manager who wants to see the difference between the budget and the actuals for specific items. He wants to keep his eye on specific categories, which is salaries and benefits and utilities. Those are very important for him. So I have this report that is showing a graph with that information, but something is not quite right. This information is by year, by department. So he can see which departments are meeting budget, overspending, or underspending, right? But in 2020, even though we know what happened in 2020, the salaries are quite low. This doesn't make any sense. So this is something very important to see and notice with this type of reports. You can see right away what the problem is, right? Or that there is a problem. You don't know what the problem is yet, but you can start investigating and you can start seeing that 2020 something is missing. Or we have, it can be a combination of things. It can be that the entries are not properly posted in our GL, in our system, or it can be that probably the amounts are in a negative number instead of positive, or we're missing entries, right? So that's why it's very important to see this and have a visual comparison, right? And the utilities, of course, in 2020 went down. That makes sense. There is not a dramatic drop like it is in the salaries. And also, it has some pivot tables where I'm showing the expenses for the whole company and the revenue. We can see salaries, materials, and equipment. He can see every single category For the year of 2018, 2019, we can see the variance percentage, right? You can see the dollar amount and the percentages. We can see 2020 as well, and here is just not making any sense. The budget says 1.2 million, but the budget in previous years is 8 million, which is, and the year before is 7 million. So as I said, even though with what happened in 2020, this is just too low. And here, what I did, I just connected the tables through Power Pivot. So I use Power Query to get the information ready from the folder or from the files that I'm going to use this information from. And I just connected this. I created some very simple, very basic measures. And that's how I'm getting the difference for the variance, the dollar amount, and the variance for the percentage. Okay. And before I continue, Francisco, welcome. Very nice to see you here. Thank you for being here. Okay, so this is the second report, and also I can see the variances for those expenses and revenue by department. Okay, and the third report that I have here is the one that I'm gonna give to the auditors. Because I make business with 3 provinces, each province has a different percentage for the tax that I need to pay regarding to goods and services. If it's in Alberta, it's 5%, BC 12%, and Ontario 13%. So the auditors asked me to present this information or to provide this information only for the sales. They don't want other income. They only want to analyze the sales, and they want to see the amounts for the actions and the taxes, right? They want to see the total. So keep in mind, these are fake numbers, fake information. So some of the numbers might be too high or too low, and some of the categories, if you compare with each other. But at the end of the day, the goal is to learn why Power Query is so important or is so helpful when we need to connect these reports to one source of data, right? So in here, it makes sense that the revenue went down quite a bit in 2020, but the salaries just doesn't make any sense, right? So this is the query that I'm going to show you how we're going to develop today, the one with for the auditors. And in future classes, I will show you how I did the other report with Power Pivot and the other one for the statistics. And let's go and see, the files, the original files, where this information is coming from. So here on the desktop, I have a folder that is called Connecting Reports. And I have 2 files. One is the team tables, and the other one is reports 2018 to 2021. I'm going to select both, and I'm going to press enter, so you can see the content of these reports. So while these reports are opening, look, Juan is here. Buenas noches, Juan. Good night. Thank you so much for being here. And here we have Jeff. The video will be available later on. Yes, Jeff. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for asking. Okay, so we have the reports 2018 to 2021. The first sheet, this sheet 2018 to 2020, has the information, of course, from 2018, and I'm going to go down, Control-Shift down to 2020. I have the information for 2021 in the next tab. But then I realized that I have one more tab, and this information that is here is missing for 2020 on the first tab. I should have copied and pasted all this information into the first tab. So this information that is here is missing. So I'm going to Control X to cut. I'm going to go back to my tab 2018, 2020, and I'm going to paste that at the bottom. So Control V to paste. So we're talking about 994 lines. So we were missing that information. I'm going to save it, and I'm going to go to one of my reports. Let's go to that one with the variance, the one for the manager, let's say, or the director. And here, when you have the salaries, we can go to data, refresh all, and we're going to refresh all. So it refreshes the report, this chart, and it refreshes the pivot tables as well. And look, now the salaries went up, and that is because we were missing information. How many times has happened that you finish the report and then more entries are coming. And I'm talking as an accountant because this is what I do. And these are the challenges that I find very often. So information was missing, or after the audit, you have to enter some adjustments, or after the month end, you have to enter some adjustments. Then you need to open the books again, enter the adjustments, and close the books. And you need to rerun all these reports once again. If you can connect everything to one source of data, then hopefully you will refresh all your reports with the new data. Hopefully you remember all the reports that need to be updated. But if you don't, then you will have discrepancies between the reports and between the information that you need to provide to different stakeholders, right? So it's very important to have it, or this is why it's so important to have it all connected to that source. And right over here, now we have 4 million in salaries instead of 1 million. That makes more sense. Yes, we had a drop in 2020, but 4 million in comparison with 8 million is more reasonable than the 1 million that we had before, right? So this report is ready. So I'm going to just save it and I'm going to close it. This is not the one that we are going to work with today. That takes quite a bit of time. I'm going to close this source, the reports, and I'm going to just go back to the statistics. We have 2020, we have 10 millions at the bottom, and this is because the revenue is higher than the expenses. So this 10 million, when I go to data and refresh all, then drops down to 7 million because we added some expenses. So this is ready as well. I'm going to save it. I'm going to close it. And my last report, the one that we're going to develop today, is for the auditors. And this one won't have any changes because the lines didn't include any sales. So I'm going to refresh this, and the number is exactly the same. It's because the lines that we were missing just affected expenses. Okay? Excellent. So here we have a magic cup, and cheers to Colombia. Thank you so much for being here. So now that we have this, I just want to show you the other file that we are going to use for this report. We have the theme tables. And the theme tables, if you have been in this channel, you know them. So these theme tables I have used in other examples where you have the account number, the account name, the category, and the type. And also you have the department, the cost center, and the province. And that is because in the other report, the one that I just closed, this one, if I open it, you will notice that this report only have the cost center number and the account number. It doesn't have the type of the account, category, or anything like that. It doesn't tell you which province these lines belong to. So for that reason, we need both reports. We need the report for the 2018 to 2021, and we need the one with the theme tables, right? For the GL accounts and for the cost center. So I'm going to close this one, and I'm going to go back to my auditors report, and we're going to start from scratch. You will open a new workbook, and you will go to data, get data, from file, from Excel workbook. We're going to use Excel for that. So I'm going to go to my desktop, connecting reports, and I'm going to select reports. That is the first one that I'm going to bring. And I want to bring the sheet that is called 2018-2020. I'm going to open that. And just looking at my screens over here, just to make sure that there are no comments that I haven't seen. So Ctrl+Shift+ to zoom in so you can see a little bit better. On the left, when you bring this file or this report for the first time, you will have everything blank and you will have only one line or one query that will say 2018-2020. I bring my solved queries already just in case something goes wrong, and then I can check it out. And also it has been a while since the last live stream, so just in case. So I'm going to double click to the name of this query, and this is going to be solve live. Solve live. So first of all, I don't want to change the data type just yet. I'm going to remove this step. I'm not ready for that. I need to do some work first before I change the data type. I have a promoted header step here, but if I go to my source and I change on this formula, that is this function that it says Excel workbook, and is bringing the content of my file 2018-2021, reports 2018-2021 XLXX. So in here, it has a parameter that says null. And I'm going to change that for a true. What this parameter is going to do is going to promote the headers of this file. So I'm going to press enter, and I don't need the promote headers anymore. I'm going to delete that step. I'm going to go to the next step, and it says navigation. And what this step is bringing is the item that is called 2018-2020. The column is kind. The column kind is sheet. And this information that is here on this preview is coming from the column data. If I go one step before that, I have the column kind that needs to be sheet, the column item that it needs to be 2018-2020, and I'm bringing the content of the column data. If I click here beside what it says table, I can see a preview of that table here at the bottom. And let me just try to make this one up. So this is a preview of that table. That is the table that I have here on my step navigation. Excellent. Now, let's start transforming. I don't need the column budget for this report because the auditors are asking me only the actuals. I'm going to delete that. I select the column and I press delete. Here, Power Query has created that step and it has named it remove columns. I'm going to rename this as remove budget. I press F2 to edit, and that's how I can change this name. I have now the information that I need. I'm ready to bring my theme tables. I'm going to expand my queries here. On the white side, I'm going to right-click, New Query, File, Excel Workbook. I'm going to go to my desktop, Connecting Reports, Theme Tables. I'm going to double-click at that file. And here, I'm going to start bringing, I'm going to select multiple items, and I'm going to bring the accounts demo and the CCs or cost centers demo. And I'm going to say, OK. And here I have two queries, one for each table, one for the accounts demo and one for the cost centers demo. And I'm going to just rename this query, the accounts demo. I'm going to say GL Live, GL accounts. And the other one is going to be cost centers. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to merge my queries. When I merge, it's a combination of the tables. I'm going to bring the information from one table to another. My theme tables, my dimensional tables, are the ones that have one item. Let's say for this cost center 001 has only one line for that account number, and it will have the name. If I go to that GL account, it has only one line for that account number, and it has the account name, category, type, and that's it. So it's very important that dimensional tables don't have duplicated items. They have unique items. Same thing with the cost center, the theme table cost centers. It has only one line for CC001, and that will bring the department name and the province. So I'm going to go back to my sort live table, and I'm going to hide the queries pane. So now that I'm here, I'm going to merge those tables. I'm going to go here to Home, Merge Queries, click at the row down, and click at Merge Queries. We don't want to create a new query. I want to merge on the existing query. So because I selected Merge Query, that is the first one that I have on the top. And now I can select which other query I want to merge with. And that will be the GL account. So I'm going to select the account number column in my query that I have here behind this box. And from the GL accounts table, I'm going to select account number column. So you can see that I have 30,456 of 30,456 rows that match. And I want to keep the left outer match join. Okay, so I'm going to say, okay. Power Query creates a new column for that with the GL accounts, and that column is called GL accounts. Is coming from that query, GL account. That is the name for that column. I'm going to click at the rows at the top of this column. I don't want to use the original column name as a prefix. And the only thing that I want to bring from here is the account name. That I just need the sales, right? So I just need to identify the account, the amounts that are coming from the account name sales. So for that reason, I'm going to expand only the account name. I'm going to press OK. And here I have all the accounts. Remember, in this preview, I only have 1,000 rows. I can bring more, or I can bring all my rows, but there is no point to do that. It's going to consume resources that really I don't need that. I'm going to go back to my mesh queries step, and I'm going to rename it F2 to edit. And this is going to be merge GL. And the next step, expanded GL account, I'm going to say expanded account name. And, oh, Eduardo, welcome. So good to see you. Thank you so much for being here, Eduardo. Welcome. Okay. Now that I have this, now I can merge with the other table. And I'm going to go here again to home, merge queries, one more time. And I'm going to select the table that I want to merge with. And that is going to be the cost centers. I'm going to click there. I have many tables because I already had the sold section or the sold folder. But in your case, you are going to have only 3 queries, which be your table, which be your team accounts table, and it will be your cost center table. Okay. So from here, I need to select the column cost center from the table on the top, the CC table column, the CC column on the cost centers table, and I'm going to leave the left outer join as well. And same thing, all the rows are matching. I'm going to say OK. Here I can see all the items that match to this cost center. So I'm going to go to that column that is called cost center, as the table is called. I'm going to click at the rows that are facing opposite sides. And from here, I just want the province. So I'm going to remove the check mark, and I'm going to bring the province because that's going to dictate the percentage that I'm going to use here. So I'm going to say, OK. Great. I'm going to rename my step merge queries. That is going to be merge cost center or CC. Expanded cost center. I'm going to say expanded province. Enter. And now that I have that information, I'm going to add a conditional column. As I said at the beginning, keep in mind, this is, I could say, beginner intermediate level. So keep that in mind when you are watching this. If you are an advanced user, I hope you still find value on this. And if you are seeing that we can improve this, please let me know in the comments. I would really appreciate that. Okay, so here I'm going to go to add column, conditional column. So I'm going to click there. I'm going to call this column tax. And I want to say if column province equals ON, then 0.13. Okay, that is the percentage. It's 13%, so 0.13. That's what represents that percentage. I'm going to add a clause because this is going to tell Power Query. If the province equals Ontario or ON, then bring 0.13. Else, if province equals BC, then 0.12. Else, 0.05. right? Because Alberta is 0.05. And I'm going to say, okay. And here I have the percentages to calculate the tax on the from these actuals, right? From these sales. So I can do two things here. So I'm going to just rename this step, and I'm going to say that this is added tax. So I can create another step where I can say select tax, press and hold control, select actual, go to transform, and oh no, I need to add a column. Go to add column, standard, and we are going to multiply if I find it right here. And what this column is going to bring is that total, that is the multiplying the sales times the percentage. So if you're starting your journey with Power Query, this is the way to go. You can rename this column, double click at the top of this column to edit, and then you can provide another name, total tax or tax amount. In my case, I try to optimize my steps as much as possible. So if you feel comfortable changing the code, I'm going to delete the last step. And here on the code that Power Query creates for me, Power Query is adding a column to the table that is coming from the previous step, which is the table that we were seeing before we had this tax column. And it created a column that is called tax, that is this column. And it's saying, like, for every single item, process the following, right? And it's saying if the province is Ontario, then 0.13, etc. Well, in here, I can tell Power Query that I want to multiply the column actual times, open parentheses, and I go to the end, close parentheses, and I want that Power Query calculates that amount based on the actuals times the percentages that I obtain based on these conditions. So I'm going to click at the check mark, and now I have the amount for the tax. Okay. As I said, if you don't feel comfortable modifying the code, do it as I show you before, selecting the columns and then going to transform and select multiply. Perfect. Now, I think this is all that I need. Oh, no, one more thing. I'm going to select the column actual, press and hold control, and select the column tax. And that is because I want to keep in one column the items that are similar. Let's say I want to keep in one column the titles, let's say, of actual and tax. And in another column, I want to keep the amount. So I selected those two columns, right click, and I'm going to say Unpivot columns, because I want to keep everything else as is. For those two columns, I want that the titles, as I said, come in one column, that Power Query call it attribute, and the other column is called value, is where all the amounts are coming to, okay? Okay, here we have a comment. Thank you so much, Mark. I really appreciated this. Another way might be to maintain a cross-reference table and use merge in Power Query to link the tax rate to the location. That is a very good idea. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. That yes, in your team tables, probably you can have one more, and then you can bring it and merge. I don't know if that's exactly what you meant, but this is a very good idea, Mark. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Excellent. Now, even though I said unpivoted columns, you will notice, even if you are starting with Power Query, make a habit to look the code that Power Query creates for you. In this case, it's saying table unpivot other columns. If we go one step before this, where I selected actual, press and hold control and select tax. If I right click, what I selected unpivot columns. I didn't select unpivot other columns. However, the code that Power Query created in that step says table unpivot other columns, because what it did, it kept here the columns that didn't have any change, and it just unpivoted the other columns and put that information in two columns. One that is called attribute and the other that is called value. This attribute column, I want to rename it. As I said, if you don't feel comfortable modifying the code, you can just double click at the title of that column and you can say type, for example. This is the type of item or item, I don't know, let's say present. If you do this, Power Query creates a new step for you and it creates the code for that. I'm going to remove this. If you feel comfortable modifying the code, then over here, where it says table unpivot other columns, to the table that is coming from the previous step, these are the columns that you are going to leave as they are, and you are going to create two columns to put that information that I'm telling you, right? So you are going to put the actual and tax in this column, and you are going to put the value of the amount or the amounts in this other column. So the attribute, I'm going to change it here, and here is where I'm going to say type, and when it says value, I'm going to say amount. Enter. So by doing this, I don't have an extra step, and I have my titles as I want. So I'm going to select this last step, F2, and I'm going to say just unpivoted. Enter. And this is because I like to keep my code very clean, and that helps me. So, excellent. Next thing that I need to do, I think I'm ready to go. Yeah. So I'm going to select one column. I'm going to hide this. So I'm going to select one column, Control A to select all your table. We're going to go to transform, detect data type. And by doing this, Power Query has detected the data type that this table has. So for example, all the columns that have ABC on the top, on the left top. So ABC stands for text. If you click at one, you see that ABC says text. That is correct. Where you have numbers, in this case, it recognizes the year as a number. So 1, 2, 3 stands for whole number. And if you go back here where it says amount, you click at 1.2, you see that that is decimal number. I don't like to have decimal number. I prefer to choose or to select currency. And this is because currency has a maximum of 4 digits. It rounds those digits to only 4 digits. And in this case, it's not a big deal. But there are times that you have a bunch of decimals, and there is no point to bring all those decimals. It depends what you're doing with your information. But in my case, I have never used as many decimals as it can come, right? So that's why I selected currency. So I'm going to click at this last step, F2 and CT for change type. So because I do this often, I know what that means, right? Excellent. I'm ready to pass this to Excel. I'm going to go home, close and load to. And here is going to ask me what I want to do with that. First, I want to create connection only first, and then later on, I can load my solve live query into a pivot table. If I don't select only create connection, then for default, Power Query will add tabs, as many tabs as queries as you have. And in every single tab, you're going to have that table, that as a table. So I don't need that. I'm going to select only create connection, and I'm going to say, OK. So I have 3 queries. I'm going to select my query solve live, right click, and I'm going to say load to. Now I'm going to load a pivot table. And I'm going to do it here on the existing worksheet, so you can see that I get the same result that I had in my solved query. Don't do this. Always use one sheet per pivot table, because if your pivot table expands to the bottom, to the right, then if you have other pivot tables around, you're going to have issues. You're going to have errors because it doesn't have enough room to expand. But for the purposes of this tutorial only, I'm going to just do it here on cell B13. I'm going to say okay. Here I have all the columns available, and I'm going to select only the account name to the rows, the year to the columns, the province. What did I do with the province? Oh, yeah, the province below the account name. Below. Okay. And, oh, I missed one thing. Well, we will fix it right now. And the next thing that I want to do is just bring the amount to the values. So I have all the amounts here. I'm going to right click in any of the numbers. I'm going to select number format, number, use thousand separators, and I'm going to select 0 decimals. I'm going to say okay. I'm going to go to design, report layout, show in tabular form. So it looks a little bit less busy. I'm going to right click inside of the pivot table options. And here, something that drives me crazy is I'm going to remove the auto fit column width on update. So every time that I update my pivot table, the size of my columns are not going to change, right? So, and I don't need a grand total for the years. It's not a cumulative amount for every single year. It's the total amount per year. So I'm going to right click here where it says grand total and remove grand total. Right. Excellent. So I need to fix something because it brought me all the accounts. And in this case, I have a very small set of data set. But when I have a big amount of data, then bringing all this information is not worth it. It's going to use too many resources that you don't need. So I'm going to go back here to my queries. Here on the right, I have a space for the pivot table, and I have an icon, sorry. And I have another icon for my queries and connection. I'm going to select there, and I'm going to double click on my solve live query. And in here, where I remove the budget, where did I expand the account name? Here, where I expanded the account name, Ctrl+C+ to zoom in before I continue. Here, where I expanded this with the account name, where I have all the accounts, I'm going to click at load more. As I said, we have just a preview of 1,000 rows. I'm going to click at load more. So I can see that I have all the account names right here. I just need sales. This report needs to bring only the sales. I can remove this check mark and look over here for sales, or I can go to the search and look for sales. This, I'm going to click at the square right here at this box. I'm going to say okay. And from here, I just have the lines for sales. So I'm going to F2 here for filter sales. And I strongly recommend that you rename your steps, because in this case, it was very easy to see where that step was, where I expanded this account name. Otherwise, if you have custom steps or a step name that doesn't mean anything, then you have to be looking in every single step until you find what you're looking for. So now that I have this information, you see that after that, my query works only with the lines that have sale as account name. So I'm going to go home, close and load, so this information can be refreshed. Now you see, I only have sales, and I only have, I have amount here. But that is because I haven't brought the information for actual and tax. So I'm going to go to my pivot table, select that icon here on the right, and here where it says type, I'm going to put that information between the year, below the year. So now I have actual, I have tax, and I have the total per year. And you will notice something. I have all the amounts in negative. And that is because the revenue is coming as negative. The expenses are coming as positive in this report, and the revenue is coming in negative. So you can multiply this by -1, but if this information is just to present, let's say for the auditors, what I can do is just right-click, go to number format, go to custom, and here you will have, and the custom formatting, remember that you have positive, negative, 0, and text. That's the order for this formatting. So this formatting is for the positive numbers. When you go back here and select, for example, this one, for the negative numbers, it's going to bring that amount in red, and it will have a minus. I don't know if you can see it. It's very small, so probably you cannot see it, but there is a minus. So that is going to bring the negative number in red and with the minus in front of it. So what I'm going to do, if I remove that and I bring both positive and negative without the minus in front of it, and I click OK, now you can see that all the minus are gone. And this is just formatting, okay? So this is all that I had for you today. I went over the 30 minutes. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I am out of practice. Like, as I said, this is the first live since March 23rd. So I'm out of practice though. But anyhow, I hope you found this information useful. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up and remember to subscribe to this channel. It really helps me to grow in YouTube. So thank you so much for watching. And I'm not sure when the next class will be, so stay tuned. But really, I hope this can be useful for you. And that's all that I have for you guys. So I'm going to stop here. Excellent. Oh, thank you, Mark. I'm very glad that you like it. Thank you so very much. Thanks. You are a CPA. I don't know where you are from, but thank you so very much. I don't remember seeing you in this live, but I used to do it on Saturday, so that can explain why. So thank you so much, Eduardo. Very nice to see you. I'll be back with Martes de Power Query, so stay tuned as well. Estate al pendiente, okay? Thank you so very much. Really appreciate your company. And the video is available in YouTube and in LinkedIn. And in YouTube, you can find the working file in the description of the video. You will find the files for the fact table and the dim tables. And that is Maya, my dog. We don't have Gasparin today, but he will show up at one point. So excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jose. Like account issues, yeah, I know. Sí. Estos problemas con las cuentas, pero bueno, así es, José. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much. I think this is the little hands. Thank you, Eduardo. Very appreciated, and stay tuned for the next tutorials. Have a wonderful night, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.